All right, so here we have Craftsman Snowblower. This one's got the Troy-Bilt engine on it. And we're going to be changing out a carburetor on it because it's not starting. So, I've already removed the bolts. You got 2 bolts here, 2 bolts over here, and then you got 2 back behind here, 10 millimeter. I already removed those, so we'll just pull this off. And then the carb is down under here. We'll have to pull those 2 bolts out to get this little cover here off, and then these 2 here also. And we'll have to pop this out, and that's about it. So we'll pop that off. Let's get a screwdriver, pry it. We'll pull those, and then we'll get those 2 out first, and that'll pull all this apart. And then we can pull some of that off and go from there. Okay, so we got those bolts out. We might have to remove this hose here, the primer hose. Might have to get that out and get some of these little lines here out of the way. Some of these this little cord here is in the way. Yep, we're gonna have to do that. Okay, so I got that out of my way. Now we'll just unhook these little plugs right here that for the stop switch. Let's get those off and out of our way. Pull those off, out of our way. We'll have to pull this out. Pull off the little choke lever. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to get off. Okay, so I got my choke lever off, my handle. Now we're ready to pull those bolts and get this whole cover out of the way. Take care of that. And now this. Okay, we're gonna have to remove. There's a bolt under here. We're gonna have to remove this to get to that bolt. And that's just a couple Phillips screws to get this off. And then there's a bolt underneath it. It's gonna have to come off. Okay, so there's actually no bolt behind it. It's these screws on the back of this just kind of go through it, but now we can pull it out of the way. Now I can get it off of there maybe. Oh, it's catching on here. It's catching on. It's catching on this little guy here. We got to remove that because it's catching up in there. So we'll go ahead and get that off of there. Okay, so basically you just got this little clamp. You get to squeeze, well, and then just pry that thing out with a screwdriver. Now this thing's ready to come off. Okay, so that's ready to come off. And then we just gotta pull this off out of the linkage there. And then we hit this. Pull it out a little so we can remove that and that little spring. And then we're going to clamp the hose, pull the hose off, and it's ready to come off. Okay, so I got my hose off, and this thing is out. So it's that simple. Now I would always recommend, unless you know if it's good gas, I would always drain it. Just put some fresh gas in it. Chances are that's the reason it needs a carb, is 'cause it's got bad gas. So I would drain it into a little bucket or something, and then before you put it all back together. Okay, so I got the gas all drained out of it, and we're ready to put this carb back on. Linkage here back in it, if I can get it. If I can get to it. It's hard to work one-handed. There's that, and then this little spring. Excellent. And this comes back up this way, so it's out of the way. And now we're ready to put the cover back on and bolt everything back together. But I forgot, we got to put this choke lever back in here first. That could have been bad. So we'll just stick that back there like so. Now that's ready to go. Just goes back in there like that. And now we're ready to put the cover back on. Okay, so when you put this back, you want to make sure this primer tube goes in that little slot right there. Sometimes you got to pry it in there with a little screwdriver. Right there like that. And then we want to put this back in there, like so. And then this comes up to there, and then this wire here comes around underneath there. Comes down underneath here like this. And underneath that little groove right there. That little groove right there. So it looks kind of like that. So it kind of tucks up in there like that. So it'll come around here like that, and it'll tuck underneath that little spot there, and then it'll plug right in. So that's ready to put these screws back in. Find the right ones. They're the little longer ones. that. Plug that. You can plug that back in. You can plug these back on. Alright, just like that. Put these back on, these little. Okay. Tight. We'll come back over here to this side. We'll stick this back up in place. Okay, so the cover's back. I just got to tighten up these bolts. These two over here. One thing I forgot to mention is to get to this one here, you're going to need to pull off the belt cover. Doesn't hurt to check the belts anyway, but you have to pull that off because it kind of comes over the top of it, so you got to pull that off. So just tighten these back up and put that cover back on and we'll be ready. And it's got these two back here, you can't forget. And then those two there. Alright, that's back on. We can test it before we put the belt cover on if we want. We do got to fill it with gas, and then maybe we'll give it a shot and see if it'll start. Alright, so we got it all put back together. Let's give this thing a shot. See if it's gonna fire up. Should turn that on or it won't start. Sounds good. Now I'm just going to put the cover back on this. So then we'll be done. Hope you enjoyed watching. Be sure you give my video a thumbs up, like and subscribe. Leave some comments if there's something you want to see. And until next time, thanks for watching.